Let's go into the environmental aspects, which would be your specialty. We understand that there's been a figure that was brought up, 33 billion per year that's being lost because of what's happening in the West Philippine Sea. And you were quoted as saying that this is actually a conservative figure. So what are we really looking at in terms of damage?
Yeah, that's true. Probably to have a very good insight on why it costed 33 billion a year, we need to understand why the West Philippine Sea is actually very important. Ecologically, three things. One is food and provisions. We're getting a lot. We're getting fish, we're getting invertebrates, we're getting even seaweeds and seagrasses. So these are some of the provisions that we're getting from the reef. Second, habitat and ecological connectivity. The reefs in Kalayaan Island Group in the West Philippine Sea are not isolated from the reefs that we find in the west part of the Philippines. Think of it as a sink and a source. The source of the eggs, the larvae, the small fish, is West Philippine Sea. And those planktonic eggs and larvae, they float, they get dispersed, and they get deposited in the west coast of the Philippines. When these eggs and larvae get to the west coast of the Philippines, malalaki na sila. And that's what we're trying to catch, that's what we're trying to harvest, and we benefit from that. So,
nursery yung West Philippine Sea.
Yeah, it's a nursery and a source. Not just a nursery, but it's really the source. The eggs that are produced there get transported or dispersed throughout the South China Sea and also even the Coral Reef Triangle, Sulu Sea, and even it reaches, studies have shown that it reaches actually Indonesia, Bali, Papua New Guinea. And then the third is the unvalued ecosystem services. So when we say unvalued, sometimes we don't appreciate the things that we don't see, we don't feel, but actually sustain us, such as what? When we talk about coral reefs, there are a lot of different ecosystem services. So nabanggit ko kanina yung provisions. Second is actually regulatory. Climate change is happening and the coral reefs are actually playing a big role in that. The coral reefs are also playing roles in cleaning the sea, filtering the pollutants, And then there are also genetic diversity. When we say genetic diversity, how many species, types of organisms that you would find in a certain coral reef? It is important. Why? Because in MSI, for example, we've shown, or a lot of studies have shown that you can find different organisms that would have biotechnological or biomedical applications. There are a lot. We don't know, probably the next cure to cancer is actually found in the reefs in the West Philippine Sea. And then we also have cultural. There is a booming or there is a big industry in tourism in terms of diving. And if we know that the source of the larvae, the eggs, are from the West Philippine Sea that get deposited in the west coast of the Philippines, which has a high industry for tourism, then we should also need to understand those services coming from the West Philippine Sea.